Well, hello, and welcome back to another miniature painting video. Today we're going to be working on this zombie beholder model by WizKid's Miniatures. Building this model was fun because you had the option to go with normal tendrils or add in the ones with laser beams, and of course I went with the second option. This time around I'm straying far from the box art and going with a purple and electric blue color scheme. Beyond that, I had no other plan for how I was going to paint this. Now, before I jump right into painting my base, I want to ensure the clear plastic parts will not get covered in paint. I want these to stay clear so I can add a wash over them at the very end. To do this, I am just taking a little strip of masking tape and covering any clear plastic areas on both the tendrils and the base. To kick off the painting process, I'm applying a very dark purple over the entirety of the model so no white primer is peeking through. This will serve as our base for our shadows. Next, I am adding a wash of dark tone all over the model so it will seep into the wrinkles and crevices on the beholder. When you're painting something and don't plan to use bright colors, it's important to get your shadows as dark as possible to add some dimension. Now that we have our dark base, it's time to build up the midtones. I'm using a slightly lighter purple than our base and dry brushing over our previous layer. You are going to start to notice a pattern here where I'm building layer upon layer of lighter purples. To further our midtones, I will be using a lighter purple to map out where the high points of the face and back would be. It is important to note, any paint I am adding to the beholder, I am also adding to the tendrils off camera. And I am back at it again with an even lighter purple, starting to map out where I want the majority of my highlights to be. These will be on the high points of the face and back that are most likely to reflect light. Now I will be using a deep pinkish red to add a tinge of fleshiness around the eyes and mouth area. Going in with a pastel pink, I am just adding some highlights to the same areas I painted with that red. Now it's time to add in some blues. I'll be using a fine brush to add in some splotchy spots on the back of the beholder and some wrinkle lines around the face. For the tongue, I will be using a blend of a few colors we previously used, like our blue and a few of the lighter purples. The lighter colors will be more focused to the center of the tongue, while the blue will be placed around the edges. Now it's time for our electric blue highlights. Of course, these are going to be placed on the highest points of the face and back. I told you there would be a pattern to this. For his little teeth, I will be using a cream color and adding in a little bit of red around his gum line. I find it cuts down on the brightness of the teeth and stops them from being so stark white. It's time to complete one of the last areas on this model, the eyes. Eyes tend to be a very daunting area for miniature painters because it requires a lot of precision. Even painting an eye this large had me nervous, not to mention all the smaller ones on his tendrils. I'm starting off with a light gray base, adding a bit of diluted red around the eye, and centering some white in the middle to prepare for adding in the pupil. For the pupil, I will be using a dotting tool that has a round head on it. I have to admit I don't have very steady hands, so I wanted to avoid freehanding a circle unless I absolutely had to. I'm going to be starting with a larger dot of dark blue, adding a light pink in the middle, and a neon blue dot right smack in the center. After that, all that is left is to add one last tiny black dot in the middle. I will let these steps play out and catch up with you for the final reveal. And here we have our beholder in all of his glory. I think the light blue highlights really made him pop, and I love how the eye turned out, even though I was stressing the whole time about messing it up. I would love to hear your thoughts on this little guy in the comments. Thank you for coming along on this painting journey, and I will see you next time, traveler.